Hello, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I am Janae Strother.
I'm Sean Spencer.
Back.
We are back.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta go out and hold up.
Come on. The line. The line. You man so fine. Kirk Cousins.
All right. I am Janae Strother.
I am Sean Spencer.
And this is Let's Talk Football.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And ladies and gentlemen, yes, sir, I am back again, pulling double duty this week. And it's Tuesday, so you already know what it is. The Roundtable. We give you the news and notes for you good folks. And I'm not here alone, never am, as long as I got my partners with me. You see over to my left, the lovely host of Diversity with Delilah, Delilah Crespo. Yeah. And my guy, Mr. Multifaceted, multi-talented smoke creator, smoke taker. My guy, Mr. Big Nick.
Smoke eater?
The smoke radio. Yeah, buddy.
Why, thank you, sir. Beautiful introduction always, and I truly appreciate that. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. Shout out to Anthony Handy saying what's goody, what's going on, Anthony.
Oh, Handy.
Check out Anthony on Thursday on his show This Week in SEC. Man, he's got jokes, he's got good news, he's got stats, he's got it all for you, man. He's got it all for you. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, here we go. Diversity with Delilah and Mr. Smoke. I can dig it.
I love that. You gotta get a shirt. You gotta get a shirt. Oh, we got shirts. Yours says Mr. Smoke, and mine will say DWD.
DWD. Did it. I can dig it. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we are so glad that you are here with us today. What happened, Nick?
Yes. No, go ahead. I'm live.
So glad you guys.
Let's go.
So glad you guys are here with us on another Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you being here. And you know how we start the show. We always started with our birthday. So let's go ahead and get into it. Got to shout out one of a good friend of mine, known him all the way back since high school, been cool with him ever since. Nigel Walker, happy birthday to you, brother. Diehard Packers fan. He's gotten in the comments every once in a while talking about the Green Bay
never mind, Nigel.
Yo, let's go.
Happy birthday.
Nathan said, what's good, y'all? Let's get it.
What up, Nate?
What up, Nate? What up, Anthony?
You know? So, yeah, happy birthday to you. And also, happy birthday to Janae's wife. Janae's wife, I think it's on the 29th. I think 2 or 3 days from now.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday.
Turning 21 again. I've been told to say that. So there we
go.
Oh, right, 21 again. Sure.
I can dig it.
Sean.
I can dig it. All right. So I hope all is well. Hope you have a great birthday. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, we know why you're here. You're here to talk football, ladies and gentlemen. And hey, it was a heck of a week this past week. Some shockers, some upsets, some blowouts. You had a little bit of everything. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but we will give you our picks for Week 7 Game of the Week. Ladies and gentlemen, if you saw last week, we gave you a couple of the games we liked. I think Delilah hit the Bills and the Titans. I hit Jacksonville's first win, and Nick talked about the Bears and the daggone Packers who beat us too. So I don't need to talk about that. We're not talking about that today. All right. Let's go. But Nick, I'm going to lead off with you and probably the most shocking game of this week, and a game I would have picked had you not picked it. Cincinnati beats the Baltimore Ravens 41-17. Nick, what you got, man?
We're about to lose Nate now.
Yeah.
Nate, if you are watching, please exit the premises because you're not going to like what you hear for the next few minutes. No, hey, this was a great, and I told you guys, and this was one of my picks for last week, if you remember correctly. I told you Cincinnati was getting 6.5 points, and that, I mean, I thought it would be closer than this, no doubt, for sure. But Cincinnati proved, and I told you, who did I tell you all to look out for? Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Let me tell you something, brother, as Hulk Hogan might say back in the day. These guys connected. Just to show you real quickly, Jamar Chase had 8 receptions for 201 yards and a touchdown.
Woo!
Mind you, one of them was an 82-yard pass that he dipped and dived around and got into the end zone on, which was great. But it's just to show you, man, these guys have not lost a beat since college. They're on the same page. And, you know, that's an average of 25 yards each catch for Jamar in that game. That's pretty good for a wide receiver.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, you got 8 receptions, you got 201 yards. But, yeah, and you found the end zone. And that's, I mean, what more could you say? I mean, these two – but the thing is, here's the great thing about Cincinnati. We're talking about Joe Burrow and, you know, Jamar Chase, of course. But how about, like, probably the most underrated tight end right now? I think the guy's got like 5 touchdowns in the season. CJ Uzomah had another 2 touchdowns in this game. I mean, he had 3 targets. He caught 2, right? Yeah. He saw 3 targets and had 3 catches for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I know, I'm an idiot. I benched him because they were like he wasn't going to carry this game, and I said, "Great, right. I'm going to ignore."
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. Their offense, when you look at Cincinnati, now this is the thing. Like, I thought they would come into this season again. Burrow coming off the injury, he eventually find himself. They'd have a pretty good. I thought the offense would be pretty decent. But man, when you can throw 2 touchdowns to your tight end, have both your running backs average around 50 yards each between Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon. They each combined, I think, between the two of them, they had 100 and something yards. Where is it at here? I had it in my little stat thing. 59 yards and 52 yards respectively. So they each ran for over 50 yards. So that's some good production from the running backs. Over 100 is 110 yards, 11 yards. Your quarterback is throwing at a 23 for 38 for 416 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did have the 1 interception, but obviously that did not matter. Again, Jamar Chase again with 8 receptions to 201 yards. So your offense is clicking on all cylinders, my friend. And that's a scary thought for that AFC in general, because as you guys were talking off the air before we went on, it's kind of up for grabs now. The front runners have all fallen.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, the Bills are there, but again, the Bills are proving that they can be beaten too. So,
what does it say about Baltimore?
Well, with Baltimore, again, Baltimore is a victim of what we have talked about all along. And that is they live and die with Lamar Jackson on offense. They really do. And look at Lisa. I already ranted last night. I threw everything but the kitchen sink. That was okay, Nate. Sorry. But this is just to give you some stuff here. Jackson was limited through the air in this one. Definitely was, completing just 50% of his passes for 238 yards and the 1 touchdown he had. And again, so what happens? He's running around. He's trying to make plays. Again, look at these rushing yards for these guys. Le'Veon Bell, 5 rushing yards. 8, yeah. He missed tackle. He missed a couple tackles. He forced guys to miss a few tackles. Devontae Freeman only had like 15 or so yards. Tyson Williams, like these guys, it's not happening. If Lamar Jackson isn't firing on all cylinders, they're not firing on all cylinders. Yeah, and that's a damn shame because this is a good team.
What up, Dave?
All right, Dave, have a good one, buddy. Thanks for saying hi. But yeah, so I mean, so this makes you so when you look at all that, you go, yeah, Cincinnati really kicked their butts, and they did on all levels, on defense, on offense. This was just a complete butt kicking. Now again, they're tied. They're all 5-2. But does Baltimore going forward? What do? They need to get some guys healthy. They need to get – we've been saying this every week, it seems like. Lamar Jackson needs help. The poor guy is trying to do it all himself, and it's just collapsing around him at certain times. And this was one of those weeks where it just collapsed around him.
Yep.
He got no help on offense. He only had the one touchdown. Like I said, he threw for 238 yards, but yeah, it didn't happen for Lamar. And so I just this was the game. But the reason I picked it for my game of the week is because I think this has announced Cincinnati now as a contender. I think we can safely say going forward that they're legit. They're 5-2, and they're rolling. They're all, again, Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase. You're going to hear that a lot, I think, the rest of the year, because that's going to be just one of those deadly combos that you're just going to hear about every week. Because it doesn't matter. You can put your best guy, the guy's still going to catch the ball. It's just the way it is. It's incredible to watch. I love it. Again, I may have to become a Bengals fan. Like, these Bears are killing me. I'm faithful, but man, I'm going to have to start rooting for Cincinnati. I'm telling you, it's killing me.
Oh, yeah.
It's killing me.
I get that completely.
Yeah. So my game of the week was
completely
making a statement, beating those Baltimore Ravens 41-17, of course. Again, with a great performance from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Cincinnati 5-2. They're on fire, baby. They're on a roll. And that's my game of the week.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, man. That and I think that's going to say a lot about the AFC North. You got Nathan just kind of. I'm glad you're still with us, Nathan. I appreciate.
Right.
I appreciate you being with us. This is therapy for you. You've said it on your show many times. And look, we're going to go ahead and keep this thing rolling with another game that actually. That Baltimore-Cincinnati game, I mean, they has huge implications in the North. Cleveland, somehow, Delilah, somehow they beat Denver. I don't know how.
I'm telling you.
What's up, Delilah?
I was like, I think they were like, I don't know any really analysts, maybe one or two that were like, Cleveland's gonna win. Almost everything that I read, right, the percentage, the odds were all in Broncos' favor because they didn't. The Cleveland is playing their third string quarterback. First of all, not even their backup because he's hurt too. This is their third string quarterback with Keenum, and they made him look like a stud. Like he had a 91. Passer rating.
Really?
That was crazy. Okay, so they just, he has one touchdown, 199 yards, 90.3 RTG. Excuse me. Ooh, I said 91, but still, right? So,
right.
He was 21 for 33. And again, that's crazy. Like, I don't know what happened to the Broncos defense, but there is no reason why they should not have been putting pressure on Keenum. Oh, people, not mention that Cleveland was down. They're two studs in Chubb and Hunt.
Right.
So
they're to hurt.
And Mayfield.
Yeah.
So they didn't have Mayfield, but that was like Mayfield. I was trying to compare like kind of Mayfield and Case Keenum. Like really, and then Chubb and Hunt also hurt. No reason whatsoever that Cleveland should have won that game. And then they did. And Mayfield was celebrating on the side because he could take over with the win, right? When he comes back because he's not out for a long time. So he could just be like, all right, cool, thanks. You gave me a solid, Broncos. Now I can kind of continue, But yeah, so that was his. And obviously we know that another person that really helped win that game was Dearness Johnson. He had 22 carries for 146 yards and one touchdown. Let me tell you, this guy has stepped up for the injuries that are playing Cleveland, okay? That guy has stepped up 100%. And that's the touchdown that, won the game, really. Because, because the score was 17-14. So right there, that one pass to one person was the big difference in this game. It's like, but enough that it mattered. However, this is why for rushing is really what hurt Denver. They had 14 carries, right, in rushing, with just 41 yards. Okay. And then when they went long in rushing, they only went 7 yards.
Oh wow.
No touchdowns from your rushers. And then when you compare Cleveland's number, their carries for their rushers, and they had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different guys rushing on Cleveland's side versus 3. You know who one of the 3 were that rushed on Denver's side? Teddy.
Right, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Javante only had like it was bad. Like Javante only had 20 yards. Melvin Gordon III only had 18 yards. We just said Dearness Johnson had 146 yards. John Kelly, who I have no idea who that is, had 13 yards. Demetric Felton had 13 yards. Case Keenum himself put up 7 yards.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, the rushing on Cleveland side saved them because they had 182 yards versus Denver's 41. Okay, like that is sad. It's like 182 rushing yards versus Denver's 41 yards, right? So
Denver
right there,
a running game. We know that though. I mean, they rely on the pass.
What's happening with them?
Well,
I mean, they got Javonte Williams, but
we have a spammer.
Do we?
Yeah, I see it in the comments.
I
can't ban from here. Okay, so yeah, so right there, the rushing killed, right? Because their receivers and Cleveland side, they were okay. But they did have, they had one touchdown from Stanton, right? So, they had one, but they were pretty even when it came to receiving. And when you look at Denver's numbers and Cleveland's, their receivings were pretty much about the same. So really, the way that Cleveland was able to beat them is they ran the ball more, right? We've talked about how important it is to have a really good running game because they eat up so much of the yards, right?
Yeah.
That it puts you within, passing, right, to get a touchdown, right? And so, so there you go. So Cleveland won a game that honestly wasn't really supposed to be winnable. And so
they won a game.
So now, I mean, we saw them winning with Mayfield, but really this should have been a loss and it wasn't, right? So now what you have is that Cleveland in the AFC North is 4-3. Baltimore and Cincinnati are tied 5-2, and Steelers, because they won, are 3-3. And so now
Pittsburgh plays Cleveland this week.
See what I'm saying? Those divisional games, we know those divisional games are,
Yep.
And so right there, the AFC North doesn't belong to anyone right now, as far as I can tell. And that, and that AFC is getting that AFC top seeds, which is why we talked about, even though I shared those projections, it was from the NFL Network, and I was like, hey, what do you think? These are the projections, right? And that's why we were right versus the NFL Network that we probably have to wait till week 10. Right?
Oh, we said week 10 should give us a lot, right? Week 10.
Yeah. But I was just sharing how it is now, right? We're just looking at basic numbers. And so the NFL Network is like, okay, this is what the playoff pictures look, right? If these people stay where they are, right? And so, And so basically we were correct on Let's Talk Football is that a better barometer is week 10. So there you go, NFL Network. Yeah, we're better analysts. Anyway. Anyway, so that's why that was. I know. Oh my God, that's your job. What am I doing?
I don't know. You go, girl. No, take it.
Anyway, but that's the reason I picked that one as game of the week. And I only just realized that we picked like people from the same division, but that's okay. But so there goes. So there goes. That AFC North is up for grabs, guys. Sorry, right? It's not.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of those divisions that we talked about before that might go all the way to the end, right? Like week 16, week even 17 probably. But
I see it happening, yeah.
So there you go. Game of the week.
I agree. I like that, Delilah. Yeah, no, I absolutely like that. And I think that's turning into one of the most exciting divisions with the emergence of the Bengals. You know what I mean?
Man.
We already know what the Browns and the Ravens are going to do. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting, and I'm eager to see. And another division that's a lot less interesting, but I'm sticking in the AFC. My pick for game of the week happened on Sunday night. The Colts beat the 49ers 30-18. The reason why I picked this, this makes the Colts number 2 in the AFC South.
Okay.
You know, and they got Tennessee ahead of them, and obviously you got Houston and Jacksonville below them. So it's a good. It makes them feel a little better. The Colts, they've been in games. They played the Rams and lost to them by 3. So they've been close, and we've seen how good the Rams are. But they had a rough opening to the season. In this game, they played a team. First and foremost, the beginning of this game was like the Monsoon Bowl. I mean, it was raining it was raining cats and dogs. It was crazy out there. And I talked about this on Let's Talk Football. The football weighed like 10, 15 pounds, trying to throw that from left to right. But you know what? Carson Wentz is he's shown me something. He's not doing anything that leaps off the page, but he's still contributing. He's getting the job done. I mean, in this game alone, he only had 150 yards passing, couple touchdowns, but he also had a rushing touchdown, which proved key in this ball game. Carson, it's not as much his play that I'm excited about. It's the fact that he's with the same coach that helped him when he was with the Eagles. Frank Reich and him have a very close connection. And let's not forget, before that injury, where Nick Foles obviously came in and took over the Eagles, before that injury, they were 11-2, in Philly, and Wentz was MVP form. So he's definitely not. Yeah, he's definitely not playing that. I do not want to even have that out there. He's not playing MVP form right now. But I'm saying the guy can still ball. And the number one thing, we always talk about the number one thing that a struggling quarterback, the number one thing that helps out a struggling quarterback is what? Running game. A running game and a solid defense. You know what I mean? He's got Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is balling out, getting the job done. Another 100-yard game this week, just 107 and a touchdown and 18 carries. But having that consistent running game and then having a solid defense, we cannot sleep on the Colts D. This game, they only had a couple sacks, but they had 2 interceptions and 3 forced fumble recoveries. So the defense is showing up. The defense is playing, and now again, they're 3-4. I'm not going to sit here and jump off the roof and yell from a mountaintop that these guys are the AFC's best, because we've seen they're middle of the road at best. But a lot of this game has to go to the fact that there's a lot of things going on in San Francisco. Starting with that quarterback situation, they're not dealing with the number 1 running back. Elijah Mitchell got 100 yards, but he's not. Yeah. He's not top 10, top 15. He's not, top 20. You know what I mean? He gets the job done, but that's because of that offense, and the offense is a running offense. And Deebo Samuel, 7 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. He'll do what he does. He's going to get his yards regardless, and I have to shout him out. But San Francisco is definitely struggling without a George Kittle. They're struggling to find who's the next guy to take the reins, to take a little bit of pressure off Deebo. Jimmy G, he's playing like he's looking over his shoulder. You know what I mean? And I don't know why, because Trey Lance, when he got the opportunity to play, he didn't shoot the lights out. He didn't dominate. You know what I mean? We weren't sitting here saying Jimmy who. We were saying, well, let's see what happens with Jimmy when he comes back. You know what I mean? So I think San Francisco definitely cannot afford to lose this, but they're on a downswing right now, and I'm almost kind of close to saying, maybe y'all need to look at next year. You know what I mean? It's a struggle, but the Colts are definitely in the upswing.
For sure.
Yeah,
the Colts got a big game this week. They play Tennessee this week, so
right.
Got a chance
so the
to
next
prove
3 games,
this week, Sean.
They got Tennessee, and they got either Houston or like the Patriots, or like they're the Jets. Like they got Tennessee, like the Jets, and then Buffalo. So they had a huge 3-game stretch.
Yeah.
So, but like we say with the Tennessee game, it's a divisional game. It's a divisional game, and this will definitely help the Colts to move up. So let's see if their defense can do it. But obviously, we've seen what the Titans can do. Buffalo in a couple weeks, we already know how that goes. Unless there's any injuries, I can see Buffalo winning that. But that middle game, I definitely see the Colts winning. Like you guys said, if we're going to week 10, if we're waiting until week 10, then I think the Colts by that time will be up to at least 500, if not having a winning record, and they're going to make some moves in this season. So,
Look at you.
Yeah, buddy. So, got to show love to my Colts. Got to show love to my Colts. So we have to move on, and we're going to move on now to our players of the week. Delilah, I'm going to start with you, with somebody that, hey, look, I am going to go ahead and say it. I think this man should be in the MVP conversation right now. Delilah, Derek Carr.
Yeah, and he is. He's not as high as a few others, but I know he is within conversations because behind Tom Brady, he's number 2 in total passing. Yeah, okay, this season. He has over 2,269 yards. So he is right behind the GOAT as far as so as far as passers, and he is again projected to be over 5,000, right? If they're looking at how the numbers are going. So he's also projected to finish the season with over 5,000 yards. Because he came in right away, and he has something to prove, right? Because they were doing well last season, and then they fell out, and he was like, "Forget it," right? And so he came in, and he's been balling out since he came in, right? Since the season began. So again, he has 2,269 total yards so far. He's got 12 touchdowns, right, and only 5 interceptions total since then. That's it, 5. Right, and so exactly. So he's having a killer season, and of course, what we found out is week 7 he was perfect, almost perfect. Okay, 31 for 33 yards. It's pretty damn impressive.
A couple, man.
That's the only He only had 2 dropped. Right, that's it. 31 for 33, and so his completion percentage was 91%.
There you go.
Okay, his completion percentage was 91%. He had 323 yards that game and 2 touchdowns. And so he came in to ball out, and because so he's trying to prove that the Raiders are still contenders, and I think he's doing a damn good job proving that. And also his offense is helping too, because his dudes are producing, right? Jacobs, his running back, has 5 touchdowns total this season. He's got over 200 yards. Henry Ruggs has 469 yards this season, with his 2 touchdowns. And so it's really helping, right, that he's that these guys are producing, right? They're doing what they're gonna, their defense is pretty balanced too. Like, I know they're not considered like top tier defense, but they're doing pretty well, right? They're holding their own. And so, like, now again, that division that we keep looking at over there with the Raiders, right? Especially now that Denver dropped the game. Kansas City is on a slump too, right? So that AFC, so that AFC West, it could really go to the Raiders, and you got the Chargers doing pretty well too, right? And so I see we have a boat fan right here. Hello. I think he said hello. So right now that division is looking really interesting, because it's looking like it won't be the people we thought winning the AFC West. Right? Like, just kind of looking at the standings, right? And so man, like, good for Derek Carr going out there and proving that he should be in the MVP conversation, right? And that he's there to take leadership, because we know that the situation we spoke about a couple weeks ago, but it helped because they've been winning, right? They won, right? As soon as all that kind of stepped out and they could focus on the players and none of that was hanging over them, they're winning games, right? And so So kudos for them. They're at the top of the division right now at 5-2, and LA Chargers are behind them at 4-2. Kansas dropped to 3-4, and Denver dropped to 3-4.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, if Raiders could keep winning these games, they could definitely win that division and probably sneak in through a wild card spot, right? And so
I can see it.
Let me tell you that AFC guys, I don't know what's going on over there. Is that the AFC is pretty wide open, whereas the NFC is pretty much probably going to look the way it looks now.
Yeah.
I don't really
Very true.
unless something really insane happens the next few weeks. But that AFC conference, like that's gonna be wild. Because honestly, I'm still like I don't know who's gonna be the number 1, number 2 seed in that anymore. We thought we did, but I don't know.
I think it's going to be like you said. You said it's going to come down to the final weeks. I think it's definitely going to come down to that.
And those division games that we keep talking about, right? As to who takes the division.
Yep. Yes.
So, all right, Derek Carr, keep balling out, man. You're doing good.
DC, man, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Yeah, no doubt. I agree with you, Delilah, on that one. Moving on to Nick. Nick has he doubled up this week, but you can't have one without the other. Nick.
That's right.
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase.
Yeah, well, I went with, again, as you saw, my game of the week pick was the Cincinnati drubbing of Baltimore, 41-17. Yep. And I thought,
drubbing, good word.
Drubbing, right? Drubbing, it's a good word, right? Drubbing.
Sorry, Nate. Sorry.
Drubbing. But, and I thought, because again, we were talking about this combo last week, and I know I sound like I've taken these guys out on dates or something's going on with us, but I love this dude, man. I think it's great. And so for me, I went with the co-players of the week, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and our love affair starts now. Burrow was 23 of 38 for 416 yards, 2 tutties, as Tom Brady once put it, 2 tutties, and an interception. Again, the interception really doesn't mean much. Didn't happen anything. But Jamar Chase, man, he's the story. Because this entire year, this guy has been on fire since week 1. So, I mean, he's definitely, in my book right now, the rookie of the year. My book right now, Jamar Chase, I have him as the front runner for rookie of the year or offensive rookie of the year, whatever other awards you want to give to rookies. But I think Jamar Chase is in the running. And with Joe Burrow throwing to him, man, hey, just like college, baby, LSU national title, baby. Let's go to the pros and win a Super Bowl, baby. So there you go. Now that's the thing. I need to look that up because I wonder how many actual like college combinations of like quarterback receiver went on to the NFL and won Super Bowls. I need to go check that out because that's an interesting stat, I believe, or I believe it would be. But I'm telling you, this is a combination that they won their national title. LSU, give them a year or two here, man. You can see them in the Super Bowl winning another title together. So for this week, like as I said, I went with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. I already gave you the stats. Again, 8 receptions for 201 yards and a touchdown. That was the 82-yarder where he juked and jive a couple of defenders to get into get by him and then run another 40 yards for the touchdown. Burrow had a good game. Again, they did have some help from the running game. But again, these two are the story, man. I'm telling you, Cincinnati's on fire. They're 5-2. They've forgotten all about Andy Dalton and all those playoff failures of the past. They're looking to the future. And this is it, my friend. It doesn't get any better than these two. So for me, these are my co-players of the week. And there you go.
I think they're good choices because I mentioned it because our group chats are really lively, and I always said, I'm like, why are we sleeping on this guy? And I know we've talked about them, and it's not because we're like, we're super obsessed with Joe Burrow, but we're like, he did pretty well. You know what I'm saying? Like he held himself against Aaron Rodgers. We know that they lost that game.
Yeah, they should have won that game.
He was toe for toe with Aaron Rodgers. So we know this kid, call him kid because it's he missed the season.
He's a kid. He's what, 23 years old? How old is Joe Burrow? 23.
So, he missed his rookie season because we know he got hurt. But here he is, right? He's always got to do.
He doesn't pee straight yet. It's okay.
So kudos. All right, Sean. Who's your player of the week?
Right.
Oh
ahead,
yeah.
Sean.
Oh yeah. So, my player of the week is somebody. Actually, I mentioned him to you earlier in the season, Delilah of the LA Rams, somebody who I think is making a case for MVP himself, Mr. Cooper Kupp, ladies and gentlemen. And look, this guy is leading the league in receptions. He's leading the league in receiving yards. He's leading the league in receiving touchdowns, 56 receptions, 809 total receiving yards, and 9 TDs. He has a 14.4 average each time he touches the ball. I mean, this guy.
Fantasy team. I love
it. Right. I think all three of us have him on one fantasy team or another.
Yeah, I do.
We're all the
Yo, and it's rightfully so. This guy has not gotten under 10 targets any game this season. Okay, in 4 games this season, and twice back to back, he's had a double touchdown day. Okay, he did it against Indy, he did it against Tampa, and then he did it recently against the Giants in Detroit. This guy, I mean, he consistently breaks the 100-yard mark in receiving. This guy is consistently just the top tier. I mean, him and Matthew Stafford, it's like they're long lost buddies. You ever see that video, that commercial they have with the 2 kids running down the street? And you see the guys saying, Lily!
Right.
Lily! That's what Matthew Stafford probably said when he saw Kupp. Cooper, where have you been all my life? They are balling out together, and it's showing on the field. They're 6-1. Now I feel like the Rams, that dynamic stud defense, finally now has and look, I'm not trying to take any credit away from Goff. Goff did get them to a Super Bowl. I got to be honest. But with Matthew Stafford, I feel like he kind of runs the team, and he kind of is like coach on the field, Coach McVay on the field.
Oh, yeah.
And the way it's working right now with Cooper Kupp and him, Matthew Stafford and Kupp, look, until they can be stopped, I got that. And no disrespect to what you just said, because I absolutely love Burrow and Chase. But now, if we would go back to the list we did like the week before the first season, and our number one duo, love Devontae Adams, love your duo, but from what they've done this year, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, definitely showing up and showing out. So, hey, look, right now, if he continues this trend, I don't see any way we can leave him out of the MVP conversation.
No,
and at the very least, definitely maybe like put him in that offensive player of the year conversation. Something, because you got to recognize this man's talent. He's getting the job done. We've seen what he's done up to this point, but definitely glad he's getting the recognition he deserves. Yeah, buddy. So, ladies and gentlemen, those were our picks for player of the week, and pretty damn good, if I don't say so
Absolutely.
myself.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
I think I see what you mean with Kupp, but interesting enough, in the 59 years since they officially began naming MVP in the NFL, a wide receiver has never won the award.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow! Not even the guy you're going to mention a little bit later. I'm about to say, if anybody would have done it, I thought he would have done it.
Yeah, it's weird, like how they label stuff. So like they just keep getting shut out, or they'll get like co-MVP, like we've seen that before, where it's not like a solo award. But I think with the offensive player of the year, he definitely should be the top contender there.
Yeah,
because the next guy we'll be talking about did win a lot of those.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely talk about that in a little bit on Diversity with Delilah. But before we do that, we definitely want to hit our hot topics. And if it worked right on cue, Roger Goodell just sent out a tweet. We're going to be talking about would and or should Deshaun Watson be able to play amid his legal issues. Well, one of the things that we were interested in is, would they place Deshaun Watson on the exempt list?
Right.
Ian Rappaport has just tweeted. I feel like I'm Delilah right now, coming with the news, the updates. The NFL commissioner Roger Goodell on the Texans and Deshaun Watson We do not have all the access to that information and pride ourselves on not interfering with it. That process is ongoing. Important. We do not feel is necessary. We have the necessary information to place him on the exempt list. So Goodell is not. They're not going to place him right now. As we know, there's 22, I believe, lawsuits that are pending right now.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but there is this past week there have been a lot of news and rumors coming out that some way, shape, or form Miami and Houston would be doing a trade that would deal Tua to Houston and Deshaun Watson to Miami. Still don't know if he's going to be able to play. Delilah, I'm going to come to you first. Should he be able to play? Will he be able to play? What do you think?
So I think there's a few ramifications with this, right? One, we've seen that there's a player that's playing in Tampa Bay right now that people question where he should be playing, and we know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think, unfortunately, the NFL has an ugly history of setting a precedent this way, where when they don't wait till like a lot of the smoke is cleared, or what the ultimate verdict will be in a lot of these cases. I think what ends up happening is that his case hasn't really gone to it's going through civil courts and lawsuits. And I think that's where also it differs, because it's not a district attorney, right, pressing charges and running an investigation and trying to do, and I'm sure they're investigating on the side, but they haven't brought forth any actual charges in that arena, right?
Right.
Right now, it's all civil lawsuits, and so those cases are still open and ongoing. But I think if we do that, right, we say, hey, Deshaun can't play, and I'm not saying he can. Then why is Sherman playing in Tampa?
Well, right.
Do you know what I'm saying? And now they're not rape case, but it is a domestic abuse case, which is another issue that the NFL has. Yeah. And so I think that the NFL has a really problem because they haven't really taken a true stance against any of these issues, right? They actually haven't drawn the line with any of these problems. Yeah. And that's why this keeps coming up, right? And this is why they can't really say, oh no, we can't trade this person, we can't do this, because they continuously allow these trades to happen and allow these players to play. They might suspend them for a couple games, right? We saw that. They'll suspend them for a few games. They'll fine them for a few games, but they won't actually hardline, except for, the player that, knocked his girlfriend across the room.
Ray Rice.
Right?
Ray Rice. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
no, but
he
won a Super Bowl. Recently. What's his name?
You talking about the Seahawks guy?
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yes. He was 100. So, but that wasn't the NFL though. See, that was the Seattle's like, get out of here. Right. So it wasn't even the NFL. They tried to hush that.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't even the NFL that kicked them out. That was the organization said, nope, you're out of here, right? And so again, it didn't come from the commissioner, it didn't come from the NFL. But if I'm Roger Goodell, I'll be very, very careful with what he does, because then he has to be consistent, and he also has to ensure that that all the 32 teams are also compliant, right? That they're also following whatever he sets up, that everyone has to follow those rules and regulations and be consistent. And I think that's the other thing too. There's no consistency on how players are penalized, based on the different like crimes and things like that. Like I said, usually they'll get a suspension, things like that. And unless it's the team itself, they might actually, right, like kick them off the squad. But that's not the NFL doing it. That's the individual teams deciding, I don't want this guy on the team anymore, right? And so, and so they really, I think that's where it comes down to. Do I think he should be able to play amid legal issues? No, but I think that way. But a lot of guys are currently playing that also have legal issues. And so that's what it comes down to. Okay, well, if we're gonna use Deshaun Watson as an example, what about all the other ones? You see what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. Where is the consistency? Because all you're just looking at is just, a hypocrite. Like, really? There's tons of players that have also retired, that also had questionable past, that were also allowed to play amidst all these different things going on. Not just Ray Rice, right? There was a few other, players who had issues, like what's his name from Minnesota? They were saying he was abusive to his kids. So what I'm saying is,
yeah.
Oh, Adrian Peterson, yeah.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is, what I would do if I'm Roger Goodell is actually sit with legal experts, right? Like lawyers, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Actually come up with a cohesive plan. The only thing is that I just found out as we were learning about, all these issues that are plaguing the NFL is that he is employed by the owners.
Right.
So I honestly never paid attention to Roger Goodell is beholden to owners because they are the ones that vote and decide like what the guy who's the commissioner is.
Mm-hmm.
So how much influence does he actually have on teams if they're the ones who are like, no, because we're the ones who gave you your job. So I think in general the NFL has an issue in that regards too, is how they select commissioners and how they hold owners responsible. And then vice versa. So I don't know, but that's what I think. I think it's very sticky to say yes or no because they don't even have their ducks in a row.
Right. Honestly, I think you hit the nail on the head, Delilah. Honestly, I think the fact that we were even questioning this is just ridiculous. This guy is, if he's guilty of the things that they've accused him of, then no, he should never suit up again. Why? That's absolutely right. But shout out to David Wright, like he said when we brought some of the things like this up a couple episodes ago. There is a lot of hypocrisy in it, and like you mentioned, the Goodell is essentially, the owners have him in their pocket. Like he goes to them and does. Same reason why Daniel Snyder's still in here, like we talked about. We think he potentially has some information in those emails that got Gruden fired, but Gruden was just collateral damage. You know what I mean? Like there's some stuff that's going on, but we know who the head owners, the Crafts, the Jerry Joneses, and they got, Goodell and they got this whole thing. Look, when it comes down to Deshaun Watson, do we want him to play? Of course we do. But at the same time, we're not supporting that. If he did everything, again, the reason why I'm saying this, it's because there are all these lawsuits and everything. But to me, there's still something funny about the fact that we're still having this conversation about it and nothing's gotten settled yet.
That's what I'm saying.
And even the fact that they're entertaining trades and any of this stuff is crazy to me, because if he's guilty of what they said he's guilty of, then he needs to be dealt with legally. And if incarceration or whatever happened, hey, deal with it that way. But the fact that it's just kind of like it came out and now it's just been sitting over his head for 6-7 months, like this is some, I don't know, something right. So even that
I was right. He faces no criminal charges. They're all civil lawsuits.
Oh,
see
what
I'm saying?
And that's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what's going on, but that's really the issue.
Right. And so that's now the issue, because now it's kind of like, well, then what are we doing? Like, can we not get this stuff settled? Can we not get it figured out? Because look, yes, if we're talking about purely the sport, yes, we obviously want him on the field. He's an amazing player, great athlete out of Clemson. But this stuff needs to be settled, and as long as this stuff isn't settled, why are we even having the conversation? I know I brought up the question, but I mean, like, why is the trade? Why is the trade conversation even coming about? You know what I mean? Like, they got to figure this thing out. And Goodell has. I think Delilah, you're right. We need to get some consistency, and Goodell needs to put his foot down. I mean, we've seen how many times that they've gone wrong dealing with situations of abuse and things of this nature. So, hey, this is your opportunity to get it right. But then that goes back to what I've been saying. There's some other stuff going on here that we don't know about at all, and there's funny business going on behind the scenes. But I don't know. We shouldn't even have this conversation. He needs to figure the legal stuff out. Then we'll talk about if you're going to play or not. Nick, what do you got?
Well, first off, you guys have hit a lot of the points that that are pretty obvious, and that the NFL has a terrible history with this stuff. They just do. Like, they don't and a lot of it, if you think about it, a lot of it is the players who were involved in these situations were all big time name players for the most part. You had the Michael Vick dog scandal. You had the Ray Rice in the elevator scandal. You had,
Ben Big Ben. He got accused multiple times of rape as well.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, Ben's a name. Like, if you look at the guys over the years who have had situations like this, a lot of them have been big names, which that equates to what? Money. And what is the NFL about? Making that money.
Right.
Okay. And that's the thing. Whether you like that or not, or think I'm wrong, that's fine. And I may not be 100% correct, but look, money does make that wheel go. And money is what those owners are trying to make, right? With every seat that's filled, every popcorn that's sold, every jersey that's sold, yada, yada, yada. You're selling football. You're making money. And that is what this is. And that's why this is such a shame on a lot of levels, because you are saying to Deshaun Watson, who, yes, he's been accused of a crime, and they are heinous crimes. Like you said, and again, do we know if they're true or not? We do not. Now, again, some people go, well, how could you have 22 different people accuse you? Something's got to be there. And probably in normal situations, you would go, yeah. If 22 women came up and said Nick Rosario assaulted me, you probably tend to believe them because I'm just some average Joe who goes to his 9-to-5 job and whatever.
Right.
But you're talking about a guy who's worth millions and millions of dollars.
Yep.
That you could get people to get together and be like, hey, we can make some money here. We can make accusations against this guy, take him to civil court, and we can get some cash out of this. Now, I know that sounds sinister, but that stuff happens. These guys can be targets. Again, I don't know if Deshaun's guilty or not. I don't. But if you're going to go on past precedents, and if you're going to go on how the NFL has handled this from the beginning, and it's not really a question of would or should Deshaun be able to play, because the answer would be yes. You let everybody else play. So why shouldn't he be able to play? Like you said, nothing criminal has been filed. So unless that happens, then why shouldn't the guy be allowed to make his money? Again, don't know the guilt or the innocence, but again, I'm going on precedent for the NFL. And this is, like you said, this is the problem, because they don't put their foot down. They don't say that this is our stance on this. It's more like, we'll take it on a case-by-case basis and decide whether or not we think this is egregious or not, or egregious enough to, why do you think they backpedaled after Colin Kaepernick? Right? Just last year, they were talking about, we apologize to Colin and we're sorry. No, you're not. You are absolutely not sorry. No. But yet you chastised that poor young man because all he wanted to do was kneel for some justice. And now look at you. Now you're all about that, right? Now you're all like, oh, yeah, we have to do better. Or we have to blah, blah, blah. But yet Kaepernick still probably will never play in the NFL again. But you got a guy who potentially abused 22 women who's talking about getting traded at the trade deadline. So this is why I'm saying the NFL has a black eye on itself, and it's there. And again, they do. Yeah. And I know, like, we all watch, okay? And again, we're all football fans. We love football. That's why we do this. So, yeah, people be like, oh, well, why do you watch that? Why would you do Because for us, it's an entertainment. It's a sport. None of us are sitting there spending thousands of dollars every week going to football games. We watch on TV. We enjoy our little, once in a while we get to a game, but we enjoy it. It's a sport. It's a relaxing thing for us. You know what I mean? Like, it's why I watch baseball. Why I watch hockey. Why I watch anything. I love sports. Do I agree with everything that happens in sports? Absolutely not. But if I went by that thing, I probably would never do anything in life because I could find something. I don't agree with everybody who does something.
Right.
So, it's a very tough thing. And again, because the NFL never takes a stance, this is why we're having this discussion to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, why would or should? Well, that's really not for me to determine. But hey, again, if you're going to let everybody else make money while they go through all this stuff, why not a guy who hasn't even been charged with anything yet?
Right.
So yeah,
right.
I say, go ahead, trade him. If the team, if Miami, if in fact that's where he's going, if Miami decides they want to take that chance and they want Deshaun that bad, where they'll take him and send Tua over there, and then if the criminal charges come out, then Miami will have to eat that or whatever happens.
Right.
But if they're willing to take that chance, that's on them.
Well, I just read on Twitter, because it's the quickest form where they tweet out the news. Sure. Miami does not want him until they resolve the legal issues.
Okay, we'll see. There you go. So there's one possibility you won't have.
Right. So unless they can figure out all those 20 counts, those civil lawsuits, right? Because again, they're not criminal charges. I have to go on and say that. Like, I'm not saying I don't believe the women. I obviously not.
But they haven't found enough to charge him with either.
There's no criminal charges pending. These are all civil lawsuits, and there used to be more of them, and a lot of them were dropped. Right. So
see, that's another thing too. How suspicious is that?
And so so again, I understand why Miami is being hesitant on saying because right now, one, I honestly don't think that they're giving Tua enough. They haven't even given a full season. So honestly, I think it's a little short-sighted to be honest, in my opinion, to think about trading him away already.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about this guy?
Yeah, I think we did. I think it's too soon. Honestly, they should just let him finish the season, see what he does for the next,
Right. But I meant in the sense of the timing of the allegations, anyways, because it was when
we talked about that in February.
Right, he didn't want to play for Houston anymore. Then all of a sudden, all this stuff came out.
Right.
Then he's being sued for this. It's like, so. Where was that before? Like, you knew about that?
So as of now, he's gonna have to stay put because Miami, again, I guess they are willing to trade, but not until these things are taken care of, right? So and we, and I guess there's
another team involved, but they didn't say who.
No, it's not the Jets anymore because they have Joe.
No, they got Flacco.
It was Washington.
Was it Washington? Was it Snyder?
Washington was the third team, and then we backed out.
Stay away.
Okay.
Yeah,
we backed out.
Your organization's already dealing with enough stuff. They don't need to pick up this dude and add to it.
Right.
No offense.
No, I get that.
No,
I get that. No. But yeah, we definitely did mention that earlier in the year. But
way in the beginning,
And again, like it. We can him getting on the field or not getting on the field. Whoever, the accusers and those that are in power and maybe the power structure of Houston has already gotten what they wanted to get done. They've taken away his meal ticket. He's not eating. He's obviously after the accusations, all his sponsors dropped him. The same situation that Kaepernick went through. Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, it is a business. It is a business. Like you said, Nick, money runs everything in it. Yeah. So if you have a corporation going up against an individual, it's not fair.
No, the corporation will always win. Like, let's just put it that way. We know that.
I mean, the fact that we're even talking about this, like you said, Nick, we brought it up earlier. It's just we're dealing with maybe an uncontrolled entity here in the NFL, and I mean we've seen people attempt to sue the NFL or go against the NFL and this and that, and we've seen what the NFL does, either buys them out or comes up with this type of stuff, to where by the time the dust settles, even if the guy was not guilty, the mark has been done. They've already taken him out of everything he was doing.
It's been 9 months already, right?
Right.
This stuff's been going on for like 9 months already, 8-9 months.
Right. And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible what's going on, man. And look, for the player, I hope he can just resolve this issue and just get on with his life, man. Deshaun, just get on with your life. Hopefully, obviously, again, like we said, if you did the crime, take care of you got to handle that. You got to take care of that.
It's gonna hit him in his pocket since they're lawsuits.
Right. Well, it already is. It already is. So, hey, look, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the longest running segment on Let's Talk Football, the Roundtable, Diversity with Delilah. Let's go.
I love it. All right.
And Delilah, this week you are covering the greatest wide receiver of all time.
There, Jerry Rice, baby. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So last, last year I covered, one of the best, running backs play the game, right? And so now this year I'm following up
Yeah.
with with a wide receiver.
Barry.
Anyway, so I think Jerry Rice. Everybody, we know who Jerry is, right? And so it's just oh, sorry, I see people.
Yeah, I'm sure people
are
are
still commenting. Sorry.
Right,
All right, I guess you guys were waiting for us to finish our piece, but anyway, so Jerry Rice was born and raised in Mississippi, right? He's a Southern boy. Yeah. And his mama, I guess, actually didn't want him to play football in high school. Like, 'cause sometimes, moms could be like that, right? Injuries, different things, or they want you to focus on school, whatever. So,
play
his
the foosball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the devil.
That's hilarious. So yes, but I guess sophomore year, he was playing hooky, and he was playing hooky. The principal caught him, but he sprinted away, and so he was so fast. I guess they decided to take. And honestly, I wish that more people would do this. So instead of like suspending him or whatever like that, they took the fact that, hey, this guy's quick, and basically were like, maybe you should be on the football team. So obviously, So they convinced his mom, like, hey, this might be a good idea. And so sophomore year, he did play football in high school. He's one of the fastest kid. And he also played basketball and track and field when he was in high school. But it's when he enters, HBCU, Mississippi Valley State University, right? And HBCUs are huge because, as we know, it's very difficult for HBCU players, even though we know a lot of them are like top tier athletes who get into the NFL. There's a lot of reasons that there's barriers, which is why I'm glad ex-NFL players have gone back and are supporting HBCUs more than ever, because there's a lot of talent on there that often gets overlooked. So that's kudos to a lot of those guys going back. So basically, he attended Mississippi State, as I said, Valley State University. He was nicknamed the World due to his ability to catch anything near him, right? And so that was his name. Yeah, that was his nickname in college. Because he caught like his sophomore year, which is more when he touched the ball more. Because he did enter his freshman year and played with, Toden, another elite, quarterback that I don't know if a lot of people know who he is, but he did. He's very known across the NCAA. Yeah, and so basically that's what. So they called him the World, and so his sophomore year, and I see why they would say that, right? He caught six passes for 1,133 yards and 7 touchdowns. Okay, this was just year 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I guess him and Toden were so good that they were called like the Satellite Express, right? Because they always connect. They also set numerous records under, Coach Archie Cooley, right? He was called the Gunslinger in his day, another one. So like you had a lot of kind of known people in the in the 70s and 80s, that were known around the colleges.
It's like that name, Archie Cooley. That's a great name.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And then and then his nickname is the Gunslinger on top of it, right?
Archie
So
Cooley. I like it.
Right. Okay. So that was his sophomore year. Then his junior year, that's when he really started adding a lot of other NCAA records, right? So he caught 102 receptions that year with 1,450 yards, and he was named a first-team Division IAA, right, All-American. He also set a single-game NCAA record by catching 24 passes against Louisiana's Southern University.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as a senior in 1984, he broke his own Division IAA records for receptions.
There you go.
With 112 and 1,845 receiving yards. So again, that's why they called him the World, right? We're starting to see. Yeah. His 27 touchdown receptions in that 1984 season set the NCAA record for all divisions. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Exactly. So again, that's Jerry Rice, right? He's just anyway, so he's gone on to say in his biography, by the way, that it's not natural talent. He says that he just works really, he worked really hard. Yeah. It's probably a combination of both. We know that they put in the time, the best players, but also sometimes you do get a gift from above, right?
That's right.
So there's that, right? So anyways, his senior year again, Rice caught 17 passes for 199 yards against Southern, 70 for 294 against Kentucky State, 50 for 285 against Jackson State, scored 5 touchdowns in a single game twice that year.
Wow.
Rice was named to every division IAA All-American team, including the Associated Press squad, and finished 9th in the Heisman Trophy ballot.
Wow.
Like, see who the other 8 guys were ahead of him.
Yeah, I was trying, but I know.
Well,
I was gonna look that up too, but I was like, oh my god, I have too much to say on Jerry Rice, so I'll have to look at that later.
Rich Cooley.
Yeah, I have to look at that. I have to look at that. So yeah, so he came in 9th. So in the Blue Gray Classic All-Star game played on Christmas Day, he earned MVP honors.
Sure.
He finished his college career totals with 301 catches for 4,693 yards and 50 touchdowns.
Oh wow.
His NCAA record for total career touchdown receptions stood until 2006 when it was broken by David Ball from University of New Hampshire.
Wow, New Hampshire, huh? Look at that.
Yeah, he caught 51 apparently.
There it goes.
He beat him by 1, right?
David
It's always
Ball.
Wow.
Yeah.
New Hampshire. I didn't even know they had a football team. There you go.
Right, exactly. So Rice is also a member of Phi Beta Sigma. He, fraternity of the Delta Phi chapter. We know how it is with HBCU, right? Fraternities are big deals. In the spring of 1999, the school actually renamed their football stadium from Magnolia Stadium to Rice Totem Stadium in honor of Rice and Totem.
Right.
So that's why it got its new name. Rice was inducted into that College Football Hall of Fame in 2006. And he was in the inaugural class of the Black College Football Hall of Fame as well in 2010. And so And so he was and so obviously here's where the controversy comes in. And I'm sure Dallas fans probably are upset that this happened. The 1985 draft. So the 1985 draft, Rice record-breaking season at Mississippi Valley State College caught the attention of a lot of NFL scouts. So that's what I'm saying. So we know, again, as I mentioned, and as obviously Sean, a few others, how much more challenging it is for HBCU players to get looked at. So, but he was so good that a lot of scouts were like, this guy, we got to look at this dude. Right. And so in that draft, the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers were the two teams that really, really looked at him the most and really wanted him. And so in that 1985 draft, Dallas had the 17th selection, and San Francisco was last because they won the Super Bowl, right? The year before.
Yeah.
Right. And so they were last. However, on draft day, the 49ers traded its first 2 picks to the New England Patriots first round choice to get the 16th selection overall and beat
nice.
And Washington said thank you.
And the 49ers history.
Yeah, exactly. We know they went on to win a whole bunch of Super Bowls with him afterwards.
Was like,
right?
oh, come on.
Yeah. Anyway,
Washington said thank you for that one.
Yeah, so Dallas was 17th. But San Francisco believed in Rice so much they gave away picks to come in at 16th, just one number above, to then draft, Jerry Rice as a 16th overall player, right? Oh my God. Let me tell you what, I know they're bad. Because what happened? his rookie season, he was NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year, right? Because he recorded, get 49 catches for 927 yards, where he was averaging 18.9 yards per catch. We were just talking about Cup, right? Who was averaging 14. He was averaging 18.9 yards.
Jerry Rice still took that L in the 85 championship game against the Bears. So
I know. I was
Big Dan.
And then what happened the next time you saw them?
He beat us. He beat us good. I wasn't getting.
I didn't ask you all that.
I'm not. You're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead of me right there. But that was coming up soon enough.
My bad.
No, but you're right. He did come in and whoop their butt. Yeah, so that was just his rookie season there. 1986, again, he just added to that. He caught 86 passes for a league-leading 1,570 yards and 15 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yep. It was the first of 6 seasons in which Rice led the NFL in receiving yards and touchdowns receptions.
Look at that.
Yeah. In 1987, he was MVP, but not the traditional one. He was MVP for Newspaper Enterprise Association, right? So it wasn't like
Well, that was a strike year, also.
Yeah, it was.
The scabs.
Yeah,
so kind of a shortened season and like the whole.
It was. Yeah. So that's So basically, yeah. So that's where he got the MVP, but obviously it doesn't count. So which was voted by NFL players, right? And the Pro Football Writers Association. The AP deemed him the Offensive Player of the Year. He was also awarded the Burt Bell Award from the Maxwell Football Club as the NFL Player of the Year. So he got all these other kind of MVP type stuff that wasn't officially MVP. He played only 12 games because, as we said, that's when the strike happened. However, even though he only played 12 games, he still managed to catch 1,078 receiving yards and an NFL record 22 touchdown receptions.
Yeah, why not, right?
It was broken by Randy Moss, right? Randy Moss is the one that broke his record in 2007 when he caught 23 in 16 games.
There you go.
So this record stood for a long time, right? 1987 to 2007. Wow. Okay, I just realized. Yeah. All right. And then again, here we go next year, right? 1988, Rice averaged a career high 20.4 yards per catch.
Okay.
Right? 64 passes.
No joke, man.
64 passes for 1,306 yards and 9 touchdowns. And then there goes the 49ers, right? They won the NFC West with a 10-6 records. And they went on to beat the Chicago Bears in the NFC Conference.
Yes,
28-3. They whooped their butts. And again, then they went on to beat the Cincinnati Bengals, right? And so they won
in a rematch that year, in the Super Bowl of '81.
Yeah, so they won, right? And he also won Super Bowl MVP honors. He was the third wide receiver to ever earn that, because as we see, for some reason, it's very hard for wide receivers to get MVP in general.
I don't see why, but okay. Sure.
Yeah, I either, to be honest. That's
they're very dependent on the quarterback.
Yeah,
I know, but still.
Yeah.
Somebody got to catch the ball that he throws.
Anyway, yeah,
that's Lamar Jackson.
So he did get, so again, he got Super Bowl MVP honors. Then in 1989, they went back. This was the back-to-back Super Bowls, right?
Oh, yeah.
And again, Rice is the one that helped carry the day, 82 receptions for 1,483 yards and 17 touchdowns. Right, and so his 12 catches for 169 and two touchdowns in their 2 playoff games. So again, he took them to the Super Bowl, and again they won the Super Bowl with Jerry Rice, and that's where San Fran got their 3rd Super Bowl, right? So again, just monster on the field. Again, continue 1990, just more, right? 100 receptions, 1,502 yards. Receiving touchdowns 13, became the first player to lead the NFL in all 3 categories in the Super Bowl era.
Oh, wow.
Only Sterling Sharp, Steve Smith Sr. Have managed that feat since.
Okay.
Yeah, in a Week 6 matchup against the Atlanta Falcons, Rice caught a career best 5 touchdowns.
No.
San Francisco finished this year with an NFL best 14-2 record, but they didn't repeat, right? They actually didn't move on to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Giants.
Right.
But he did make it again, right? Bryce made it back to the Super Bowl with the 49ers in 94. Yeah. And again, he caught 112 receptions for 1,499 yards and 13 touchdowns. And that's where San Francisco won another Super Bowl.
They beat the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
That was the 55-10 Super Bowl?
Yeah.
No. It's 49-26. 55-10 was against the Broncos.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
So, again, they won another Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl 29. He recorded 10 receptions for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns, even though he had a separated shoulder for much of that game. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he was. Yeah. So basically, he's just and unfortunately, that's where his that's where he kind of started getting more injuries and stuff. So, the 97 season. So right after that, he tore his anterior cruciate, right, and medial and his collateral ligaments in his left knee. That was when Warren Sapp of Tampa Bay, you guys know this hit, right? He grabbed him by the face mask and wrenched him to the ground. Yep, Warren Sapp brought him down. Yep, brought him down through his face mask. The injury broke his streak of 189 consecutive games because he was just playing all the time. Yep. But that Warren Sapp injury messed that up, and he didn't come back until 14 weeks later. He scored a touchdown 14 weeks after that, but he came down. He came down with the catch, and he cracked his patella in his left knee sack. Yeah. So again, he was forced to miss the Pro Bowl that year because he actually made the Pro Bowl almost every single year. But that year, with all his injuries, he couldn't do it. So he got traded in 2001, and we know why, right? T.O. showed up on the scene, and so once T.O. showed up, San Francisco was on that rebuilding, and they decided to kind of build around him. And so he was traded. They signed him, they traded him to Oakland. So he went to the Raiders team, who was coming off an AFC loss, because, he formed one of the oldest receiver duos with Tim Brown that year. Yeah. But even though he was injured, he's still in 2002. He caught 92 passes for 1,211 yards, 7 touchdowns, and that's where he went back to the Pro Bowl. He assisted Oakland to an AFC championship and an appearance in the Super Bowl. They lost though, but still took them to the Super Bowl, and they lost to they lost to Tampa. So
right. That was Super Bowl.
Yeah.
After Tony Dungy built that team, yeah.
Yep. So that's what happened there. Then after that, in 2002 against the Denver Broncos, Rice scored his 200th career touchdown, and that's where he passed Walter Payton to become the NFL's career leader in total yardage. So he broke Walter Payton's record there. He got traded in 2004 to Seattle, and that's kind of where it started kind of trickling down, right? So that's kind of where he decided to kind of retire. So even though he signed, he went to the Broncos, but he actually never played. He officially announced his retirement in 2005, but the 49ers obviously were not going to let him go out like that. So, they signed him in 2006 just to allow him to retire as a 49er, which I think obviously you should do when a man takes you to the Super Bowl 3 times. Yeah. So basically, he officially retired on August 24 after signing a single-day contract. They awarded him $1,986,806.49, but there's meaning in that. The 1985 is when he was drafted. The 80 that's in this number is the year he retired, and the 49 cents is obviously for the 49ers. And so Rice played more games. He played more games than any non-place picker or punter in NFL history, playing 303 games overall.
Wow.
So he balled out. Yeah, he balled out, right? 20 seasons total in his career with 1,549 career receptions, 22,895 receiving yards, 14 1,000-yard seasons, 208 total touchdowns. Right. Again, he went to he had 11 All Pro Bowl consecutive seasons, voted to the Pro Bowl 13 times, is also a member of the NFL's all-decade teams of the 1980s and 1990s, as well as made the NFL's 75th anniversary team, as it should be. In 1999, Rice was ranked number 2 on the list of the greatest football players of all time, behind Jim Brown. So again, just he's just how do you not, right? In 2000, he won an SP award for Pro Football Player of the Decade for the 1990s. November 4th, 2010, he was ranked number 1 on the top 100 NFL greatest players. So different, magazine. Every magazine has different stuff. And then, of course, in 2011, the Sports Network, that's when they inaugurated the Jerry Rice Award, to be given each year to the most outstanding freshman in the football championship division, which was formerly the IAA. And then he went to the Football Hall of Fame, obviously the first time he was eligible in 2010. There's no way he wasn't going to be inducted, right? And so so as soon as he was eligible to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2010, the ballot was cast and he was in. And then the 49ers, as we know, retired his number 80 jersey. And so Jerry Rice, guys. Jerry Rice. One of the best.
Jerry.
Right, I know, right? Jerry. Anthony makes me laugh because I know, like, again, fraternities are big deals.
Yeah. Handy.
I get it. But yeah, like, so that's why I knew that you would like that little tidbit about the 49ers beating Dallas to draft him. So oh, good. See, that's what I'm saying. Gotta support HBCUs, man. Yeah. But yeah, so again, just phenomenal player. We know, right? It's just Jerry Rice, gifted. And we just saw, right? All those numbers are insane. I don't I don't know what to say. All right. That's
Anthony
my DWD.
Anthony said not to deter from the topic at hand, but I had to answer the question you asked, Nick.
Yeah.
The closest ever QB wide receiver duo that came winning both a college championship and a Lombardi. Was Joe Namath, he said, and Ray Perkins.
Wow.
But he said only thing is Namath won with the Jets and Perkins was with the Colts.
Oh, I said they weren't in
the same thing then, bro. That's not what
they were on the same team. Okay.
Come on.
He was saying they were on the same college team, but not on the same pro team.
Right.
Got it.
But that's not what I was talking about, Handy.
So the Jets actually beat the Colts in Super Bowl III. So Perkins was on the team that lost.
Right.
And Perkins, they didn't win a Super Bowl till 2 years later in Super Bowl V.
Okay.
So yeah, but I mean, they were in the same game. I mean, but I guess that's the closest we can get.
That's right. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about winning a college championship and then playing on the same team and winning a. You might see that now with Burrow and Chase.
Oh, okay. The answer then is no.
Right, the answer is no. After all that, Mr. Handy, I do appreciate it because you did give us an answer, and the answer is no.
He did some research.
Right. So I appreciate the work that went into that. I know you had to dig for that. That's fine. I appreciate that, but the answer is no.
Hey.
All right. So Jerry Rice, and again, this man didn't get MVP, so I still don't understand. We're right. What do you have to do to get MVP?
Well, come on, Nick. Give us your picks. And I know you got to start with the Bengals and the Ravens.
Why do I got to do that? By the way,
that's the favorite.
By the way, just for the record, people, I went 3-1 last week, and I should have been 4-0. You know why? Because you know what team lost and blew it? The Carolina Panthers. Are you kidding me? You got blown out by the Giants. They even benched Sam Darnold. So, sorry, boys and girls. I tried to give you a 4-0 week. We went 3-1 because Carolina couldn't win. So, we're sitting here now after 28 games. We are 15-13. So, at least we're above 500. Again, I tried to get you a perfect week. I apologize. So let's go with this week's games. A lot of divisional games this week. A lot of stuff that's going to be decided. And some of them I'm going to stay away from because I'm like, a little too close for my, But I got a couple here. And a couple of these might surprise you because you know me. I like to surprise people. And I like to think that, it's going to – okay, this first one especially, okay? Philadelphia and Detroit. Now, we all know Detroit has not won a game this year, but we also know that Detroit has been in a lot of the games that they have lost. It's just getting over the hump, right? What better way to get over the hump this week than to play the Philadelphia Eagles, who just look horrible? They just looked horrible against Vegas. Yeah, they scored 22 points, but they just don't look like a team that's together. They just don't. The Eagles are just struggling. And now the Eagles are the favorite, and they're giving 3 points to the Lions. So Nick Rosario is going to go out on a limb this week and say Detroit gets their first victory by beating the Eagles. And so I'm going to take Detroit plus the 3 points in my first game this week, okay? So we'll just get off of that. That's Detroit, Philadelphia. But I'm going to take Detroit into 3 points. Okay, kids? The next
Detroit.
game, Tennessee and Indianapolis, as we were talking about, very important division matchup. The Colts have decided they want to play this year, and they're on the comeback trail with Carson Wentz, right? But Tennessee, in the same token, my friends, they're on a roll, baby. They're riding Derrick Henry. They're riding Tannehill. They're doing everything they can to win. The Colts, right now, as of Tuesday, are a favorite. They're minus 1.5 points.
Wow.
Well, again, as with last week, Tennessee was the underdog. And look at what happened to the Chiefs on Sunday. This is what I'm telling you. Do not mess with the Henry Express. The guy is on fire. Tannehill is managing the games well. He's trying to get it to his receivers. You know, whenever they're there, you know, it's 1 week it's Julio Jones, 1 week it's A.J. Brown. Who knows what's going on? Who knows what could happen this week? There can still be something this week where these guys don't practice. Who knows? But the fact is they're winning, and you can't deny that. Tennessee's on a roll. So I'm going to go ahead and take Tennessee. That's getting the 1.5 against Indianapolis in a very good divisional matchup. Okay, next game. So that's 2. Got 2 so far, kids. Next game is Cincinnati and the Jets. Now, yes, for a moment here, I'm going to pick on the lonely Jets because, oh my goodness, these poor guys just can't get. They gave up 54 to the Patriots last week?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ugly is not the word. Plus, you lost your quarterback. Zach Wilson's out for 2 to 4 weeks. So now you go and sign Joey Flacco to come in here. And let me tell you something. Let me just say this. That Cincinnati defense is probably going to make Flacco retire after this game because I want to see that guy running around trying to get away from these guys. So I don't know. I'm taking Cincinnati. It's a big line for Cincinnati because they're the favorite, obviously, but they're giving 8.5 points. But something tells me that after blowing out Baltimore by 24, beating New York by 8.5, 9 points is not that big of a stretch. So I'm going to go ahead and take Cincinnati minus the 8.5 points against the hapless New York Jets. Okay, and for the final game, my lovelies, on this final week 8 of the NFL season, we have New England and Los Angeles Chargers. The Patriots are going to Los Angeles, and the Chargers, of course, are favored by 5.5 points. Now, I understand that they just scored 54 points against the Jets, but that doesn't mean that the Patriots are going to do that 2 weeks in a row, especially against the Chargers. Again, Chargers, as much as their defense is good, Bosa and the boys, they do give up points. So you wonder if Matt Jones gets a little bit of a roll on with Harris and with you just never know. But again, I'm confident in the Chargers. They're in a good place. They're rolling. I'm going to go take them minus the 5.5. They're favored. So I'm going to take LA minus 5.5 to beat New England on Sunday there. So those are my picks for this week. Again, we went 3-1 last week, children. Almost had that perfect week, but Carolina couldn't help us out. So we are 15-13. So at least we're above 500. So let's see what this week brings us. We're going to shoot for another 4-0 and see where we are next week. Those are my picks. As it says on the thing, they belong to Nick. So if you disagree, that's fine because they're mine. So take that, son. No, I'm kidding.
Hell yeah.
But there we go. So those are the picks for this week. Hope you guys are doing well in your own. Like, I hope you guys are figuring this all out. For those of you who like to, go to the betting side of football, I hope you're doing well this year. And I hope it's, again. But if you want to listen to me, you probably go about 500. So we're having fun.
There we go. We go. Thank you,
Nick. Very much.
A little late to the party, but here nonetheless. Hello, guys. Hi, Wendy.
Oh, yes. Hi, Wendy.
You are 6-1. You beat my team.
Right, here's where Wendy comes in and tells us all about how great
this
Green
is double
Bay
duty,
is.
Wendy. I already got it on Let's Talk Football. I don't need it here too. My team lost again. Yes, Wendy, we're 2-5. You are welcome.
And now you have to play Arizona when you've
And now
lost
you're
two.
about to
Your
go
boys.
6-2.
You lost
We
two
will
key
see.
players.
We will
Should be a good
definitely
game. It
see.
should be a good game, though. It'll
What are
be
you going
fun.
to do without Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard?
That
Should be
should be
fun.
the game of the week, hopefully.
What are you going
We'll
to
see what
do
happens.
there on Thursday night, Wendy?
Should be fun.
Definitely see.
Could be a play. Could be a future playoff game. To be honest.
Oh, shit! Oh,
Definitely.
that could be the
Definitely.
AFC Championship. I mean, NFC Championship game. Who knows?
So,
Yeah.
But
That
then,
definitely could
but
be.
then, anyways, Rodgers would lose that, so it wouldn't matter. He's only 1-4 in those games.
I don't want to be here if Rodgers wins it. Okay.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey,
We won't do a
you'll
show
be the
that
one
day.
without the camera.
No, I'll come on, but I doubt it.
I mean, I'll still come on.
No, Wendy,
Wow, yeah.
rubbing it. You know what, Wendy? I hope your team doesn't lose because we will let you have it if they do. All right. Wish you would have been here on the first week.
And that's why I don't
All
give
right,
Wendy a hard time, because I understand, Wendy. You know, your team is doing well. But see, I'm
They've
in
been
it for
playing.
the
They've been playing mediocre teams,
I'm a
right?
patient man. I'm in it for the long haul. See, I'm going to let you have all the glory for the regular season and be all happy about you're going to win the NFC North, and you guys are going to be great, and you may even get a bye into the playoffs, right? But then on that glorious Sunday when the NFC Championship game is played and Aaron Rodgers blows it again, that's where I will have my celebration, and that's where I will have my fireworks. And I will have it's going to be great, Wendy. You're going to love it.
I hope for your sake and for your health, it happens that way.
I don't know, man. I know you don't like to hear it, but Dak and Dallas, they're having a hell of a season, Wendy. I don't know, man.
Oh my goodness. These fans is going all the way to
they're going all the way to the Super Bowl, Wendy says. There it is.
Wow. All right, Wendy, we got to let you, we got to move on.
Hey, we'll see. Hey, I don't know. All I'm saying is it's gonna be very competitive, and you have to admit that if you're a football fan, Wendy, because you gotta get past Arizona. You got to get past Dallas, who's having one of the best seasons ever in a long time, and Dak Prescott is balling out. No. And you got to get past, the GOAT. Whether I know.
Hey, look, that's like you guys said. This is still too early. Let's not gauge till week 10 because some of these teams that only have one loss could be going with like 4 or 5 losses.
That's
by
what I'm
that
saying.
point.
But I'm still saying though, like these are still teams that they have to go through. Though, is what I'm saying. Like in order to
So nobody's at the top. We can really gauge right now because we don't know what they're gonna do.
Like I said, either way, tough competition. All I'm saying is the NFC has really tough, a tough competition when it comes to who will be those top seeds. So
we shall see.
Both sides. All right, moving on to the last segment of the show. One last word. Yeah, buddy. One last word. We give you one more thing on our mind. I'll go first. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to get your rest. Make sure you get your rest. And get older. Not enough hours in the day for everything, but you gotta make sure you get your rest. You gotta take care of your mental health, but your physical health as well. It definitely is important. Definitely the older we get. So definitely mental health and physical health and personal health, and just take care of you before you take care of everybody else. You gotta take care of you. So that's where I'm at. Delilah, what you got for us?
My last word is building on top of empathy, and I'm gonna go with dignity. And when I say dignity, I don't mean just dignity for yourself, but respect other people's dignity. I just there's still things happen as an educator. There's things that happen, and I still at a loss. But it also proves why myself and other educators, such as Sean's lovely fiance, is why we fight for representation and why we fight for cultural responsive teaching in the classroom and critical race theory, is because you have to be able to appreciate the dignity of your students. Okay, and I'm really, really tired as an educator because it appalls me to continually see teachers mock students of color or use students of color's culture as a way to teach. And it's like, that's just not my cup of tea, and it doesn't fly. And that's why teaching has to always change and has to grow. And this is why I'm 100% behind culturally responsive training for teachers, 100% critical race theories in school, and 100% behind the idea of representation in the classroom and schools throughout the building. Because no teacher should think in her mind that it is okay to use a native dance, a mockery of a native dance, to teach a skill. Right? It's beyond abhorrent to me, because an indigenous student recorded this teacher to show them. And I think you don't understand. Well, and that's why I'm saying dignity. Please have dignity and respect the dignity of your students, respect the dignity of their culture and their backgrounds, and who might be there, and vice versa. Teachers have such an impact on kids' lives. We see your kids more than you do, because the kids are with us all day, every day, right? 5 days a week, from about 7 or 8, depending where school day starts, so about 3:30 in the afternoon, right? And that's, and we see them for almost a full year, except the couple of months you see them in the summer and your winter breaks. And so, like I said, teachers have such an impact on children. We as adults, we only remember 2 types of teachers through our whole lives, right? We remember our favorite teachers, right? That really made learning fun, that made us feel appreciated, that even though sometimes we didn't always appreciate it, but they pushed us to do our best, right? Mm-hmm. And then we remember the teachers that made us feel small. We remember the teachers that made us feel like we're nothing, like we're less than, we're not worthy, we're not worth it. And so this is why, as educators, I think it's very important that for you to really think about who's in your classroom and think about the dignity of those kids sitting in front of you, or even not sitting in front of you. And if this is really a good idea to take a culture that still exists and to mock it in order to portray something. And if you don't see that was a mockery and that you hurt that student, can you imagine being the student sitting there who probably is fighting for their culture on a daily basis, and the adult in your classroom decides it's a good idea to do the funny native, right, that we know we've seen, the caricature that we've always seen, and to put on a fake headdress to convey a math skill. So please, can we bring dignity back into all aspects, and of course in education? Let's just honestly, just come on. I still don't get how as adults you think that is okay for that. And it's not the first time. We hear it all year round, all the time, right? Oh, this teacher did this assignment. They didn't think about the ramifications on the kids. Oh, this seemed like a good idea to pretend this way. Oh, let's pretend there's a slave auction, right? You've heard of those. Again, doesn't make sense. It's not sensible. And so please respect the dignity of your students, especially if you want them to respect your dignity and to follow your lead. And in all aspects, it's really important for the next generation, and just to grow as as a world. Okay, stop it, stop it. I have no tolerance for that. I none at all. And I say that as an educator. If that's your mentality, then quit, please. Do kids a favor and leave the profession, because you should not be molding young minds at all, ever. You should not be allowed to be in the classroom teaching kids if that is your idea of a way to teach a skill, is to take something that's really important to somebody and make a mockery of it, because it was a mockery. So stop. So let's do it. Like I said, I'm telling you, it makes no damn sense. Anthony, it makes no damn sense, right? We've seen it. There's instances where teachers pull hijabs off of students' heads. How dare you touch a student, first off, but to rip the hijab off of girls' heads because you wanted to see their hair, to make fun of students that speak Spanish. We've seen multiple instances of teachers telling students, you should be speaking American here. So again, that's what I'm saying. Get out of the profession if that is your thinking. I'm going to be 100% with that. Get out of the profession. If you're learning and you don't think that way, or come on, this dignity. Let's bring it.
Nice.
That's it.
Nice. Yeah. Nick, what you got?
Oh, well, again, no way I could top what she just said. No. That it's very important, Delilah. I really appreciate everything you just said. I truly do. But I'm gonna go lighthearted this week. I'm usually the guy who brings up serious stuff, but I'm gonna go with Halloween. That's my word for this week, guys. Be safe. It's Halloween weekend. We know everybody's gonna be out. Everybody goes to their parties. Everybody, gets a little drink on. Do your thing. Put your costume on. It's all good. But be safe out there. Seriously. Halloween is a time where people like to pull pranks, like to do things. People are in costumes, so you can't see who they are sometimes. Just be safe out there, guys. Be smart. Travel in packs. If one of your friends is drinking too much, make sure they get home safely. Let's all enjoy it. Enjoy Halloween. I mean, it's what it's for. I myself am probably one of the biggest kids in the world at 48. So I'll be out here with my bowl of candy, passing out candy to the kids who come by my neighborhood, just because I think it's a fun thing to do. So again, it's Halloween weekend. I'll be out Saturday night. I got a friend's birthday party to go to. So I myself will be out and about. So yeah, just be safe, guys. Enjoy it. Get a little break from the everyday. Put on a costume, have a little fun, and have a bunch of candy. Give me the candy. That's what I'm talking about. So that's my word. Halloween. Be safe.
Nice. Yeah, and Catherine will be out there twinning it up with her sister, so I know they will definitely be enjoying that. But yeah, I like that. Absolutely like that. I love that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you being here with us. Wendy said, not me. I'm staying at home for Halloween because I bruised my knee.
Oh, that's never fun.
Were you jumping up for joy too much, beating my team, Wendy? Is that how you bruised it?
She was trying her cheerleader routine from high school and
you were beating up on Washington. The team was done.
Right, some haven't.
All right, guys. Gentlemen. Yeah, we are going to leave you. For myself, I am Sean Spencer, the host of Diversity with Delilah Crespo, and Nicholas, I want the smoke, Rosario.
Bye, kids.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, we'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Have a good week.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I am Janae Strother.
I'm Sean Spencer.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta go out and hold up.
Come on. The line. The line. New man losing so fine. Kirk Cousins.
All right. I am Janae Strother.
I am Sean